Graduates, congratulations on making it this far. I'm very proud of you and I'm looking forward to seeing you out there in the real world. But speaking of the real world, I'm here today to give you 3 steps to build powerful relationships when you get out into the real world. And why is that important? It's important because you'll see that almost everything that you do from here on out involves relationships. And the better you can be at forming those relationships with people, the better your life is going to be. I believe that the quality of your life is the quality of your relationships. So I'm going to give you some steps to be able to make sure that you come out of the gate swinging and that you're the very best you can be. And so we're going to cover getting known, making connections, and then maintaining those connections. But first, who am I? My name is Nick Shelton. I'm the author of the best-selling book, An Introvert's Guide to World Domination. And I am going to share some of these tips with you. So it's important to build these relationships. And the better that you are at building relationships, the smoother things are going to be out in the world for you. And so let's talk about getting known. So I know that you've all heard the saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But I like to say it's not who you know, it's who knows you. And what I mean by that is, so let's take an actor, for example, like actor Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt gets special treatment when he goes places, not because he knows a lot of people, but because a lot of people know Brad Pitt. And so you want to be similar in that if you can make yourself known, then it really takes the burden off you to try to go and explain yourself to everybody. If they already kind of know who you are and what you do, it makes it way easier in whatever industry that you're in to move along and progress. So that's what you're going to want to definitely try to achieve. And so how do you get known? Well, first you're going to want to figure out what industry or social circle are you trying to get known in. You have to figure out what your goals are. And then once you figure out what level, where you want to be, what industry, and what social circle, then you're going to want to go online, because pretty much everything has something online these days that you can check out. So you're going to want to join whatever online group, whatever there could be some kind of Facebook page, or there could be just whatever that organization has online. They'll usually have something that has a chat group. And so you're going to want to check out the chat group or the chat thread and see who the biggest contributors are on that thread, and maybe leave a comment or two. Engage with them a little bit. So then this way, this is what I call getting pre-known. It's you want to build some familiarity with your name and engaging with them. So then later on, when there is an actual in-person event, then you can say, hey, are you going to be at this event? I look forward to meeting you there, to put a face with the name, and then they will already be looking for you when you get there. And so you don't have to just show up in a cold room. You'll show up having somebody expecting to see you. And so you're building these pre-relationships. Another thing is, in industries, you can go on to LinkedIn and find people that are doing things in your industry and introduce yourself and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I am new in this industry, and I see that you seem to have some achievements, and I would like to connect with you here on LinkedIn and maybe ask you some questions down the line. Something like that. So then, once again, getting your name out there in the industry, so that way, when your name pops up somewhere, people say, oh, I know who that is. And you might get extra invites this way just by putting in a little bit of work on either connecting with people on LinkedIn and telling them why you're wanting to connect, or getting on those social sites and engaging in the chat thread with the main contributors, because if they're the main contributors there, then usually in person they're also carrying some weight in the room. So when you show up, you'll be networking from the top down instead of just cold and from just randomly. And they can also refer you and introduce you to people that they think would be able to serve you best. So it's really great to try to get pre-known to get known. And also meetup.com, I believe. There's all these meetup groups, so if there's something that you're interested in, you can always so for example, I always use like beekeeping. If you just wanted to meet the type of people that keep bees, then you can go to look for beekeepers meetups. Like for me, I wanted to meet more pilots, because I said, you can always, it's always a benefit to know more pilots. So I went to a pilots meetup, looked it up, and I attended, and they'd say, well, what do you fly? And I said, I don't fly. I just wanted to meet pilots. And so, and nobody said, get out, security, call security, get them out. No, they were happy to have me there, and now I know more pilots. And so you can use this in all kinds of fields. So it can be for your career, or it can be just socially to get in different social circles. So take that, go forth and use that. And then also, when you are attending, if you are going to attend an event, you're going to want to, maybe the day before, sometimes there'll be people saying, hey, I'll be at this pub if anybody wants to meet to have drinks or something, before the event. You should go. And you don't have to drink if you don't drink or anything like that, but you can go just because it's more of an informal meet. And so that way you can maybe meet with 3 or 4 people in this really innocent, no stress environment, and get to know them. So then, like the next day when the actual event is, you are going in, once again, knowing somebody. You bonded a little bit the day before, and now you have a little crew to go in with the next day when the actual event starts. All right. Then, point number 2, making connections. So, for making connections, first you're going to want to think about your expectations. So a lot of people think, well, when I show up, I have to just meet everybody and come away with a stack of business cards and know everybody. No, that's putting too much pressure on yourself. I always say, start with 1. Have your goal be to make 1 solid connection. A connection that you would actually like to follow up with, that you would like to maybe hang out with, that you might one day consider to be a friend, somebody that you found interesting, fascinating. And so your goal is to find that one person. You might not, but you might. And it's not a lot of pressure to just think of finding 1, making 1 solid connection from any social event that you attend. So make that your goal. And then you're also going to want to put your phone away. I know it's a big ask, but if you're sitting there messing with your phone, then you're not open and receptive. It gives the impression that you're closed off, and people aren't going to come up and engage with you if they see that you are messing around on your phone, or if you're distracted. You want to be open to engagement and be approachable. And you're not open and approachable if you are on your phone. So, you can have it in your pocket, put it on vibrate or whatever. Don't pull it out. Don't set it on the table face up. Just put it away, keep it in the car, and it will serve you well. You can always, if you're exchanging information with somebody, then you can get the phone out for that. But other than that, try to keep the phone away. And you're going to want to also, to these events, show up early. You're going to want to be early. I know that a lot of people say, well, I like to be fashionably late. Come in and say, look at me. But here's the reason why I say show up early. It's because you can get the lay of the land, and you can set yourself up in a place in the room that you're the most comfortable, where it works to your advantage. So if you show up early, you can first walk in, see where the sitting parts are, where the standing parts are, where you are going to want to be in that room. And then you can watch people as they come in. And so as people come in, you can kind of size them up and see, if you did these pre-known things that I talked about earlier, then you can say, oh, that's one of the people that I was planning to meet. And then you can engage them at that time before they get settled in. It's the best time when they're first getting in and trying to figure it out themselves. If you come in late, then you're just pretty much looking for, where's an open seat? What do I need to do? And you're battling for the little sandwiches or whatever are at that event. But if you're early, you're set up. You can scope everything out, and you can, as people come in, you'll know who's there, and you'll know, hey, I can engage this person, I can engage this person, and it just gives you this huge advantage on being settled in before things kick off. So always try to show up early. Another thing you can do is, I call it hunting introverts. So when you're in there and you're thinking, well, who am I going to talk to? If you haven't already established those people that you wanted to talk to before you went in, then you can look for the people on the outskirts that are on the side just kind of looking timid, who might also have their phones. They might be just sitting there with their phones, and oh, these people, they're not doing anything, they're not doing refinancing their homes or anything on their phones. They're just over there because they don't know what else to do. So you can go and engage those people, because they want to be saved, and you can be the one to save them. So go over there and rescue the people around the fringes. And so that's one easy thing to do. Next, imposter syndrome. So a lot of times people feel, well, I'm in this room of all these movers and shakers. What if I'm discovered? I don't feel like I don't feel like I belong here. But hey, you're in the room. You're in the room. And I always tell people, don't try to make yourself into something you're not. Don't try to pretend to be a big shot or something. Just go in there. You're there just like everybody else. And, just be honest. Ask questions and say, hey, this is my first time at one of these. How does this work? And, people love to share with you. And they're not going to, kick you out and say, who are you? You're not a big shot to be here. No, if you're there just like everyone else, but it helps to just tell somebody, hey, this is my first time, or I haven't been to a lot of these. How does this work? Explain it to me. And you're going to want to put your interests out there. And because a lot of people bond over common interests, but you can't bond over common interests if they don't know what your interests are, and they're not going to, try to read your mind or play 20 questions. Make it easy for them. So like for me, I like sailboats. And so I pretty much let people know within the first couple of minutes of meeting me, hey, I like sailboats, I like kayaks. So if you're into kayaking or sailboats, you're going to know about it. I'm into it. You will know that I'm into it. And so either if you're into it, we could talk about it, or you might know somebody who's into it. And if not, at least you know that I'm into that. So put out your interests, whatever your hobbies are, so people don't have to dig for it. Just let them know. And like cooking, I love cooking. And so I'm helping people with the conversation. Like, these are some things that you can talk with me about. And so I'd like to lob those out to make it easier for us to form that connection or find common ground. So put your interests out there. And kind of like what I said earlier, ask advice. So like I said earlier, you could say, hey, this is my first time, how does this work? But also, even if it's not your first time, just ask people their advice. So if somebody did, if they put their interests out and they said, hey, I'm into beekeeping or whatever, then you could say, if I wanted to start beekeeping, what's a good hive to start with? Is there a certain type of bee that I would want to, that's like hardy bee that I'm not going to kill or mess up? Is there, some certain place? Is there a certain suit that I should get, and the little smoke puffy thing? How does it? What's the starter kit advice? And people love to give advice, and so and that works two ways. So people love giving advice. So if you ask for advice, people will give it, absolutely. And then if you follow up, if you actually do something, so you don't have to do everything that they tell you to do, but if you do one thing that they advise you to do, and then you follow up later and say, hey, I did this one thing, this is what happened, then they kind of take you under their wing because they feel invested in you because you took their advice, and so now they're protecting you. They want to see what how you come along, and they're interested in your progress because you took their advice. So one really great thing you can do, ask people their advice about certain things that you're curious about, and then follow up with them on what you did, and then that really creates a strong bond really quickly. And so definitely ask advice. Another thing, thank people. I think people assume that people are getting thanked plenty, but I think a lot of people are under-thanked. So it's better to over-thank than under-thank. So always thank people for their time, thank people for anything that they do that might require a thank you. There's no benefit to holding back thank yous. So just thank people. I know that you like to be thanked. I like to be thanked. So thank people who have done anything at all that is thankworthy, and lower your bar on what's thankworthy. So that's always a good thing. Another thing for the imposter syndrome, if you, I had a friend that's a police officer, and when he puts on the uniform, he's like a different person. And I said, what's going on here? And he said, well, when I put on the uniform, I am a police officer, so I have to conduct myself like that. And then I said, well, how can we use that for how can we apply that to other things? And so you can get a bracelet, for example, or a necklace, and you can say, whenever I put this on, this is kind of like that uniform thing. When he puts on the uniform, he is the police officer. When you can get a bracelet and say, hey, when I want to go and network and communicate with people, when I put on this bracelet, I am a good communicator. And you could say, well, is that going to work? Well, with my friend, when he puts on the police uniform, he is a policeman no matter whether he believes in it or not. And so you can do the same with your bracelet. You say, hey, when I put this on, whether I believe in it or not, when this bracelet goes on, I am a communicator. I can do this. I can go into this social setting, and I can really kick some butt. So just another tip for you. So let's move on to the third point, maintaining your relationships. So a lot of people suck at maintaining relationships, but it's so important. And so the easiest way that I find to maintain relationships is to, so once every 3 months, you can put it in your calendar, and once every 3 months, go through your contacts list, your email contacts list, both personal and business email contact list, and your telephone contact list, and make a list of everyone you have not talked to or reached out to in the past 3 months that you should have talked to. Make a list of those people, and then knock off a few every day. So reach out to them. So some people might require a phone call. Some people, what I like to do is I like to do videos. So I'll get out my phone and I'll record a video, and I will just touch base with them and say, hey, what's going on? Just checking in. How'd the knee surgery go? What's going on with the project that you were working on? And then I tell them what's going on with me. Here's the latest with me. And I like the video because then they can see me and they can hear me, and it seems more personal. And it only takes a moment. You can just maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Just crank out a little video, send it on over, and then if you want to save storage space in your phone, then you can delete the video from your end afterwards, but they'll have it. And just reach out to, just work your way down the list. So it doesn't have to all be in one day, but work your way down the list. And this just keeps you on the top of the mind of your connections, your people. So in that way, if some opportunities arise, they'll be thinking of you. It's not like, if you just pop up once every 2 years or something, hey, what's going on? Can you help me with this? Then they say, I haven't heard from you in a couple of years. But if you're every 3 months, you're reaching out to people and staying on the top of their mind and in their thoughts, then they'll be thinking of you as opportunities come up, and you can do the same with them. So, because you'll know what's happening in their lives, and you can say, yeah, I might be able to help them out with this, and they'll be thinking about that for you. They'll be thinking, maybe I can help you out with one of your projects, because they'll know, they'll be up to date. So every 3 months, go through those contact lists, write down the list of people that you should have contacted that you didn't, and then reach out, whether it's phone call. I like the video. In person is the best. So if you can do in person, do in person. But if not, I like the video, phone call. Texting is a little touchy. An email, you can do email too. It's more impersonal. I like to make it as personal as possible, so that is either in person, phone call, or the video. I also do audio messages. Those are good too. But if you have to, then you can text or send or use a messaging app or something like that, or send an email. But the main point is reaching out, and just so you keep those relationships fresh, and it will serve you well. And so, with that, my name is Nick Shelton. Got the book, An Introvert's Guide to World Domination, available on Amazon. And you can find more about me at theconnectedintrovert.com. That's theconnectedintrovert.com. And I wish you well. Go out into the world and kick some butt. Be well.